Hello, 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 and welcome. My name is Sabrina Victoria. This is Her Talk Show. Thank you so much for being here. I am so freaking excited. We're going to be talking about mastering resilience, how
Mhm.
to turn setbacks into success. We have Alethea here with us today. I want you to get comfortable as we sit down. We're going to explore some of the triumphs, some of the challenges faced by women worldwide. Alethea here's here to offer some insights, some inspiration on those that are dealing with some stuff, dealing with some challenges in order to fuel your personal growth and
Mhm.
also your professional growth. Let's jump in.
Get ready because today's guest is about to change the way you view your world. This is Her Talk Show, hosted by Sabrina Victoria.
Listening live, welcome. And if you're listening on the replay, make sure you hashtag replay wherever you're at so we can send you some love in the comments. We're here every day. We delve deep into the realms of health, wealth, and leadership with some of the most brilliant women globally. We've interviewed over 600 women, and today we are adding another one to the list. We have Alethea Felton, founder of Alethea Felton Coaching, LLC. She is a motivational speaker, a best-selling author, and certified holistic coach who helps leaders transform personal and professional challenges into stepping stones for
Mhm.
success. Super excited to have you here, lady.
Thank you, Sabrina. I'm so glad to be here. I absolutely love you.
Yes, thank you so much. I appreciate you taking some time out of your day to sit and talk
Mhm.
about this. I really do think that this is one of the biggest issues in the country is individuals that do not understand resilience. They
Mhm.
have these big dreams, they have these big desires, they have these visions for themselves, and they try, and then maybe they try, and then they give up. And there's a lot of mediocrity, I think, in the world because of the
Mhm.
lack of resilience. So I'd love to kind of step in first of all. Hello.
Hey. Hey,
Why
girl.
why resilience? I know that resilience you run the Resilient Leaders Alliance.
Mhm.
You're all about, right, the longevity of do it until, do whatever it takes.
Mhm.
Where does this come from? Why this?
Girl, it came in the womb, Sabrina. It
Really?
literally came in the womb. I was born a huge part of my journey, but it's not my identity. I want to make that clear. I was born with autoimmune illness. So it's not like I caught it later or anything. I was born with a quote unquote defective liver and colon. So I live with Crohn's disease and also a very rare liver disorder. But my parents never made me feel sick. So I still had a normal, thriving life. As time went on, I had flare ups and certain challenges that literally almost led to death. I've been hospitalized in the past more times than I can count. Almost went to hospice, planned my whole funeral back in the day, everything. Had some doctors tell me I wouldn't live to see 30. I'll be 44. But yet I continued having achievements, a normal life, traveling, living it up, entrepreneurship, full time 9 to 5. And people kept asking me, how is it that you can be critical one day and you're excelling in this the next? It was plain and simple resiliency. And what happened, the pivotal move was people started coming to me saying, because of what you told me, I wrote a book, or I created an album, or I transitioned into a new space. And I started asking, what did I say to you? What did I do? And as more people came to me, I started thinking about what I've used on myself all these years. And so that's how this space of resilience came into play. I was talking about resilience prior to it being trendy. I
Wow.
really was. So that's how it happened. And it just so happens now in 2025, mindset, resilience, all of this is popular. But I have been in this space for a long time, even through consulting work, coaching, speaking. It's been quite a while.
Mm, mm, mm,
Mhm.
mm. I love that. One of the things that I really appreciate about you and your teaching is you don't just talk about resilience being the act of like bouncing back to like exactly where you were.
Nope, not at
Yeah.
all.
You talk about going beyond that, a plus,
Hmm.
percent. So I'd love for you to kind of dive into that. What does this mean to go beyond where you were?
It means that your circumstance does not have to run your life and be your normal forever. You have the power. I think so many people don't think that a lot is in their own control. And I'm not saying that if you are a person of faith, not to have faith, all of that. But what I'm saying is you control your circumstances very much in part. And when we think of resiliency, we're automatically thinking about bouncing back from something, but it's more than that. It is how do you go to the next level in your life, even if all hell around you is breaking loose? And how do you choose to not remain a victim of your circumstances?
Mm,
Yes, acknowledge what's happening. Everybody goes through something. I never want a person to hear me and say, "Oh, I'm so sorry you've gone for." Sorry for what? I'm not sorry about my life because if it's not health for you, it's something else that we go through. But we can still navigate and choose to say, this doesn't have to be my identity. I don't have to stay in what society thinks I should be. And that's what I mean by that is that we have to reframe the way that we think about life and get into that. And I always say this too. This is not toxic positivity. What I'm saying is, I'm not trying to say everything's happy, happy, joy, joy, sunshine, petals, and roses. No, sometimes life sucks.
yeah.
Really, really crappy. But
Yep.
when you acknowledge that and you accept it and cry if you have to, be angry, curse, do whatever you have to do to let it out. But then you got to brush yourself off and keep going. That is what resilience is. And I think people, especially women, we would be so much more powerful if
Yeah.
we acknowledge that and to not think that we have to stay in this space and place that everybody else expects us to be.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think sometimes there's an audacity.
Hmm.
I remember I tell this story every once in a while about a bird shitting on my face. I was,
Really?
I was so excited, girl. I was finally in a place financially where I could like give back, right? So I'm going to the grocery store. I see this family off to the side. They're like in the green area in the parking lot. The father's holding a sign. There's a wife, two kids. I park. I see the family. I'm like, oh, you know what? I'm going to get them something to eat. I've never been able to do this before in my life. I'm feeling pulled. I do my grocery shopping. I get them a little rotisserie chicken, potato salad, some freaking biscuits, some drinks, some forks, some spoons, and I'm all excited. I leave
Mhm.
the store, put my stuff in my cart, and I walk over to them with like 2 bags of freaking food. And I'm just feeling so good about myself. I'm like, dude, I'm giving back. This is phenomenal. I'm like so happy, right? I give it to them. They're like, oh my God. They're Spanish speaking.
Mhm.
And the wife right away starts opening stuff and giving stuff to the kids and putting stuff on the plates. And I'm like so happy. And I'm talking to the husband. The husband spoke broken English. I'm like, hey, what's going on? What happened? He's like, oh, I just lost my job 2 weeks ago. I'm a painter. My contractor just let me off and rent's due like, you know, next week. And I just need something like fast. If you know of anybody, anything. And I was like, let me get your phone number. I take out my phone and I'm putting his phone number on my phone. Right when I'm doing that, we're in a grassy area. There's a tree and a
Mhm.
bird just freaking just all over my chest. He starts speaking Spanish frantically. I barely even know what's going on. She
Uh-huh.
gets up. She starts going through her diaper bag. She's pulling wipes out. She's like smearing bird shit just like all over my chest. I'm like trying to smear. It's all over my glasses. I'm
Wow.
embarrassed. I'm mortified. And I'm thinking to myself in this moment, like, how dare the universe literally shit on me when I'm trying to do something good?
Mm.
And I think that this is the premise of
Mhm.
so many of us. We're like, I'm a good person.
Mhm.
Therefore, how dare this really bad thing happen to me? And instead of saying, okay, next, we get in this lull of victimhood. of like,
Mhm.
oh, the universe hates me. God hates me.
Mhm.
Whatever your being is, all the reasons why. So to Alethea's point,
Mhm.
right? The transformation, the struggles, the challenges that you get through are actually stepping stones. Can you talk about that a little bit? Like, what are these stepping stones that these stories that we have that like throw us into victimhood?
Mhm.
How are we actually supposed to be looking at this stuff?
So I take it as a three-step approach. And the first thing that you do in terms of that first stepping stone is really reframing the obstacle, reframing it, not absorbing it. What does that mean? What it means is we see our challenges or our setbacks sometimes as a personal failure. They don't have to be, they're not necessarily a failure, but I've come to learn, and this is what I help people when I am consulting them, is avoid asking, why has this happened? I'm so wonderful, as you said, and really start to see it as, what is this teaching me? So when we learn to reframe it, there's a lesson behind it that can be used for the greater good. And when we stop becoming victims to our circumstances, sure, people do some shady stuff every day. So even if a person hurts you or offends you, you still have the choice to not let them have your power or not let that circumstance have your power. So you got to reframe the obstacle. Then I tell people, regulate before you react. Sometimes you just got to woosah, just before you pop off on somebody, before you act out a character. You have to really regulate yourself to say, okay, I can either choose to stay stuck in this place and space, or I can take it and figure out, how can I adjust and pivot to get to my next, although this is really hard right now. And so that is one thing, is when we learn to have regulation and self-control as opposed to reacting, then we can be more proactive in our approach with life. And then the last thing is, rise on purpose, not simply by default. What that simply means is, be intentional about what you're going to do. Okay, all those times when I was critical, I was in a hospital and I was sick and I didn't know if I was coming or going, I still continue to visualize myself in a healthy state. Even though all odds were against me, I said, this doesn't have to be my reality. I acknowledge what's happening, but rise beyond it. Think about, what am I going to do to make the best of this? I tell people all of the time, Sabrina, I've seen people on social media who don't have limbs, but yet are in bodybuilding competitions, but don't have limbs. And I'm like, okay, this is really important here. So that's what happens to me is, and I think I froze for a little bit. I'm sorry if I did. Anyway, see, even that, I'm not even gonna let that bother me. But the whole point is, not using excuses as a way to keep us stuck. That's how we begin to make this change in our life. And again, it all goes back to how we choose to handle it.
That's great.
Mhm.
This is great. So reframe the obstacle. What is this teaching me? So instead of sitting around being like, oh, a bird pooped on my head while I was trying to give, therefore I'm never going to give again. This is how people react. They're like,
Mhm.
I'm never going to give again because, like, I'm never going to date again because I dated a bad guy. I'm never going to get into a car again. Never. And their whole life is on hold, paused,
Mhm.
because they're allowing that. So you're saying reframe the obstacle.
Mhm.
What is this teaching me? So I want to kind of dive into this a little bit, because there are individuals, by the way, we have a ton of people watching live. Thank you so much for
Okay.
being here, hanging out with
Perfect.
us.
Thank you.
I do want to say there are people listening right
Mhm.
now. I know this. You know this, that are
Mhm.
like, I hear you, Alethea, but like my situation is different.
Mhm.
You don't even know what I've been through. So to those individuals that are just like, dude, they're down and out. How do you even begin to reframe something that is dark? So
Yeah.
dark.
Mm-hmm. And it's so ironic you would bring this up because why we're limited in our time here. But trust and believe when I tell you I've gone through far more than just health. That is the least of my worries and concerns that I've ever had in
Same.
life.
I've gone through way more than a bird pooping on
Yeah,
my head.
yeah, like so I get it where I have been in a space so low. And I don't talk about this a lot, but I think that I ought to. I know what it feels like to be so low, not even about the health thing. This isn't what caused it, but to really be on the brink of almost taking my life. This was many years ago where I was that step close to just saying, end it all. So serious about that. So I know what it's like to really see only but darkness in front of your face. And the first step, and I don't mean to make it insensitive, but the first step sometimes is just simply finding a place and space in yourself to literally breathe,
Mm.
to literally, to literally breathe. I'm not really a crier, but there have been times when I've hit so low where I've had to wail from the
Mm.
depths of my gut, where
Mm.
I've screamed in a car
Mm.
when I'm the only one in there screaming
Yep.
in a car and the tears flowing out. That is literally the step one. So for you who's watching or listening to this, seriously, think about when is the last time you consciously breathed, where you literally took a deep breath in and then just truly exhaled. When's the last time you actually screamed and yelled or took ice cubes and threw them outside on the ground or something? I'm not saying tear up your house, but what I'm saying is sometimes a step as simple as that can be a first step to at least get it out. Because keep in mind now, statistically speaking, 85% of human thoughts are negative. That's a fact. 85% are negative or repetitive. That means that there's only a 15% window in human thoughts that are innately positive. So, as human beings, for the core scientific part of who we are battling more negative thoughts than positive. And so, therefore, it does take the extra push to start to even get our minds to a place of space where we can think rationally. And then, after you breathe, you may need to take the time to call someone for support. It's not the time to have pride to be in the way. You may need to really call somebody, whether it's a trusted friend, a loved one, a doctor. If you are in a space where you don't think you can go on, you may need to call that suicide hotline. But
Mm.
it's always another step, but literally breathe first and scream out and cry if you have to. That's really step one.
I love this. I love that you are right away bringing in community
Mm,
because I feel like so often that is the last thing we think about because we don't want to put all that on anybody or talk about it. It's
mhm,
embarrassing. I love that you're mentioning this in the very first step.
mhm.
Breathe community. Freaking brilliant.
You
That's one of
got
the things
to.
that I
Yeah.
implore is community.
Mhm,
I always say you have to have 2 communities in your life at all times. Number 1, you need a community filled with something that you love to do. Could be
mhm,
it could be knitting, crocheting, dancing, cooking. You need to be in a community at all times in an area of which you love. Could be cooking one quarter, dancing another quarter. Could
yeah.
be skiing, whatever it is. Number 2, you need to be in a community that is helping you rise. Just
Mhm,
as Alethea is saying. You have
mhm,
to be in a community that's pushing you to rise beyond where you're at. And
mhm,
it sounds as if the Resilient Leaders Alliance which Alethea runs, is just that.
Mhm.
So those are the two things that I implore all the time. So I love that you're mentioning this right away. And then regulate before you react, girl.
Mhm.
Because I think so often we just react right away, and then that causes more problems.
It sure does. Stress, problems, confusion, overthinking, all of that.
Yeah, one of the things
Mhm.
I've learned to do in my healing journey is I say to myself, I actually talk to myself, and I say, "Don't say anything." I actually say that to myself, "Don't say anything," because you have to sit in it. Like you don't have to react to everything that comes your way all the time. I was very reactive all the time. I was very emotional. Like
Mhm.
very like you want to talk about how you never cry, girl. I was always crying.
Ah,
Always cry. I was one of those people.
uh-huh.
You just say one little thing, like, "Oh, your staple, is a little askew there." I would bawl my eyes out.
Wow.
Yeah,
Mm.
so emotional. It's so funny when I started this podcast, side note, so I've been doing this podcast since 2021. When I
Mhm.
started this podcast, I'm not even kidding. This sounds so bad, but almost every person I interviewed, I cried on the interview with them
Wow.
because of
Interesting.
something they said, right? Some story they told, some not because they were being mean to me,
Mhm.
but like something. And I just feel people so much and would listen. And having this podcast has actually helped me. Like, because I'm continuously like, and I'm talking to myself, like, this is their story, not my story.
Mhm. Yeah,
I am so involved in their story for, but like your
exactly.
story of like, when you were younger and the issues, and that would have teared me up.
Oh,
Absolutely, absolutely back then.
okay.
So to your point, we're always working on ourselves.
Mhm.
This was just in 2021, emotional mess, right? Move forward in your life with confidence. You talk about this a lot. Move forward in your life with confidence. Why is this so important?
Because at the end of the day, I think what could help a lot of people is when I say moving forward with confidence, it's as simple as why not? I mean,
Mm,
there's so many
girl.
people on the planet and and sometimes people can feel intimidated by other people or I'm not where they are. No, no, no. Be confident with who you are. The way I view it, and maybe it's because of my experiences, they still have to get dressed like me. They still go to the bathroom like me. If it's pouring outside and you don't have a coat or umbrella, you're going to still get soaked. It doesn't matter who you are. I can be confident in who I am. Why? Because I'm a human being on this planet.
Absolutely.
I'm an earthling. And so, therefore, every earthling can have confidence. That's how I view it. I'm not trying to sound cynical, but I'm trying to get people to really see like, why are you lowering or shrinking yourself if you're out there and I'm speaking directly to you? What is the reason for you feeling like you got to play small in your life? What is so what if you don't have all of the certifications or the degrees or the income yet? You
Yeah.
can change it. We still have the power to change. So be confident in who you are. And there's a difference between arrogance and confidence. Nobody wants to be around a arrogant person
I
who
love that.
smashes people
Love that.
and stomps on them, but be confident. Walk with your head held high.
Yep.
Know who you are. And you know what too is do it even if that's not really how you feel about yourself. Because the more that you walk in it, the more you even say out of your mouth, I am confident, even if that's not the truth, you become it. Because the words, our bodies, and this is a fact also, it's not woo woo, this is a fact. Our bodies literally take on the energy of what we say and think about ourselves. And so if you don't think that you're a success or you are saying negative things about you, that's going to be your reality. But if you say, I am confident, I
Mm,
am brave, even if
mm.
that's not what you're feeling, your body is like, oh, okay. And it picks up on it. I'm telling y'all this, research it, Google it. This is the truth. These have been studies on this, and I'm a nerd. And so, I'm I'm telling you, there's so much power in yourself. And Sabrina knows I'm a woman of faith. I am. I'm a Christian, but the way that I view is that, God to me is not a creature that's sitting in a chair in the sky. God is spirit. And if I am connected directly to God, then I have that power inside of me as well to change my life. And even if you don't have my faith-based practice in that sense, just know that you're created to be more and to do
Mhm.
more, because you are meant to have an abundant life in so many ways. So yeah,
Yes.
walk in confidence.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I love how you're talking about I am statements. I remember when one of the first handful of seminars, events, or coaches or whatever that I got early on in my healing journey.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that we had to do was to write down like 5 statements, like I am beautiful, I am smart, I am confident, and we had to look at ourselves in the mirror. And we had to say these things. And just to kind of give the audience here listening an idea of how broken I was, I couldn't even mouth. I couldn't even mouth. I am smart. Like
Mm.
I couldn't even mouth it without bawling my eyes out.
Wow.
I had come out of a 12-year narcissistic relationship where I was told every single day that I was dumb, stupid, idiot, ghetto, trash, single mom, uneducated, amount to nothing. And when I came out of that, trying to heal myself, the I am statements that Alethea is talking about right here are so powerful. And the percentages that she gave, 85% of human thoughts are negative and or repetitive. Girls,
Mm-hmm.
ladies, the things that she's talking about here, your I am statements, we have to start implementing that into ourselves on our own. On our own. We can't expect other people to feed that to us. We have to feed that to ourselves. And I remember the progress that I made. I like committed to this. I was so, because if you would have asked me like in life, like if you and I had gone out to coffee back then and been like, what's
Mm-hmm.
up, girl? I would have been like, girl, I'm so good. I'm so
Wow.
good. I feel so good. I'm so glad I left the man. I'm feeling top of the line. But girl, I could not even look at myself in the mirror and tell myself that I was beautiful
Mm.
or smart, or I couldn't even mouth it without bawling I couldn't even say like
Mm-hmm.
it was that bad. And I was fully committed. And I remember the joy, and it sounds so silly, but the joy that I felt the first day I was able to say a whole sentence, like I am smart,
Mm.
while looking at myself in the mirror. I still remember the vibration that was in my body. And I like broke down, not because I couldn't say it. I broke down because I did say it.
Mm. Girl, that's
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah. But this is what you're talking about.
Yeah.
If you have to combat 85%, what the frick? Dude,
Yeah.
I had no idea that it was
That's a
that
true
high.
stat. You'll see the stats go range between 82, 85, but it's
Wow.
more in that 85% range. That is the truth. And if
Yeah.
people knew that, then it would give them a different perspective. You are not weird or strange or broken, really. It's just that we have to figure out tools in order to navigate this. And I think that if people really knew a little bit more about that, then they wouldn't really second guess themselves as much or doubt themselves as much. I think I will never forget. This was a true story that happened years ago, because my main residence is in Washington, D.C. And I encountered, probably now about 20 years ago almost, a man who was experiencing homelessness. And I was curious. I really was curious. And I asked him one day, I said, what's your story? How did you end up here? He was a college graduate. He was a big guy in finance, got married, had the wife, had the kids and everything. And then it was one bad choice that he chose to make where he was introduced to a particular drug. He took it, became addicted, lost everything, his wife, his kids, everything like that. And what was so amazing, the reason I bring him up is one of his daughters continued to still check on him on the street, things like that. And one day I saw her because I got my hair done at this particular place. And I saw her when she was out there giving them food. And he had called me over and told me. And I said to her, your dad told me his story. She said she chooses to still see him because at the end of the day, it was what he instilled in her when she was a little girl that caused her in part, and of course with her mom, to be the woman she is today. And I share that because she said she could have just kept in these whole perspectives of her father being homeless and, you know, a drug addict and all this kind of stuff. But she chose to see the good in him. And the same with us. Sometimes we think about everything negative in our forefront, or what we aren't doing, or what we haven't done. But take a moment to pump the brakes and to really acknowledge, especially us as women, truly acknowledge we, even if could be, because I don't have biological children, I lost a baby years ago, but in terms of we are the birthers. We give life. We bring life into this world. We carry and deliver. And even in a metaphorical sense, you may be carrying something inside of you metaphorically that you know you've been sitting on too long and needs to be birthed, but yet fear is keeping you, or you comparing yourself with everybody is keeping you, or thinking you're too old or you aren't experienced. Put those aside and move forward into this next step and realm of who you are supposed to be. You've got to.
Wow. Absolutely. Very powerful. Love it.
Yeah.
We're obviously getting a really good idea of how brilliant you are in this realm.
Thank
So
you.
I love that. I'd love for you to talk a little bit, as we're kind of wrapping up here, I'd love for you to talk a little bit about what exactly is Resilient Leaders Alliance and who should be reaching out to you if they're interested.
Of course. So the Resilient Leaders Alliance is a new membership community that I created less than 2 months ago. And what this space is, it's more than just your average private Facebook group or Zoom meeting. This is an entire movement. What it is, it's men and women. So it's not gender specific, but this is a space of men and women who are leading in some capacity. Now, let me make it clear. If I were to give a niche statement, I guess, in terms of who I am, I help leaders master resilience and transform setbacks into unstoppable breakthroughs. What that means, leaders in this role, if you lead in your home, your career, or business, you don't have to be an entrepreneur. But if you are leading and you have achieved some type of success, and this success is how you interpret it, but maybe at the end of the day, people see you as the strong one, as the capable one, as the one having it all together. But you know, deep down inside, you still have little moments of self-doubt, or you want to really improve upon your whole self, mind, body, spirit, and more. And you want to be in a community of people who are not just learning what resilience is, but they're learning tangible tools and tips and tricks and strategies to apply in everyday real life situations. Then the Resilient Leaders Alliance is for you. And when I tell you, we have had some breakthrough moments, because we come from all walks of life, and the founding members who are there so far have really been open and transparent and comfortable with just saying where they are, what they've experienced, and just sharing and peeling back layers of things that have been on them for so long that even some closest to them don't know about. Now, it's not therapy or anything like that, but what it is we talk about our present and we figure out tangible strategies, myself included, on how to transform resiliency in our life in more ways than one. So contact me on social. You can email me, contact me, please.
Where can people find you on social? Where do you hang out the most at?
I am very active on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn the most. TikTok, I'm up there too, but TikTok can be like a full-time job. So I don't do a lot there yet, but I do still post on that. So Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and I'm also on TikTok as well.
Beautiful. And then website, where can people find you?
Yes, www.aletheafelton.com. That's ALETHEAFELTON.com. When you go to my website, sign up for my mailing list. It is being updated right now, but it's going to go live within the next few days, actually. So I'm excited about that. A total revamp of my website. You will learn more about me, see my offerings, and so much is happening. And I want you to be a part of it. I'm here to help you so that we can all live powerfully and courageously. We got to.
Yeah, love that. Very cool. Well, this has been a delight.
Thank you, Sabrina.
Yeah.
Same here. Same here. I love your confidence. I mean, the stories you shared today with me, I wouldn't have ever met. Yes, I knew some of it, but in terms of how you couldn't even open your mouth and just affirm yourself, wow, what a difference.
But to your point, right?
Yeah.
When you get among this all happened because of coaches, because of community, which is exactly what you're doing.
Yeah.
So for those of you that are listening that are stuck in a certain area, right? It's keeping you from the ultimate vision, the ultimate dream that you want to get to. Alethea Felton, she's literally running something that's exactly for you. So it can be done. It can be done in the craziest of times, the craziest of stories, the craziest of challenges and struggles that we've been through. And it's so interesting now looking back at my story. First of all, when stuff comes my way, I'm like, bring it. Because this is just now another story I'm going to be able to add to my list of like things that I overcame, because I'm definitely overcoming it. Like what a freaking story. And this is something I'm now able to live to my son too. My son just turned 21 this year. And so he hears me say this all the time when I'm going through stuff. I'm like, dude, I'm so excited for this new thing. Versus normal people, like other people would be like, I'm like, dude, bring it. Because this story is going to be crazy.
Yeah.
People aren't even going to believe it. So when you can reframe, which is what Alethea is talking about here, number one, reframe your obstacle. When you can start to reframe it, your whole life turns around.
That's right.
Yeah.
And also, if I can say one more thing too.
Absolutely.
Also, if you want to hear even more stories of people who have reframed, check out my podcast, The Power Transformation Podcast. It's a top 5% globally ranked show. It's on all audio platforms. I have a YouTube channel that I'm gradually building, but you can find it anywhere audio. And I interview people who have done this very thing where they chose to take their pain and transform it into power and purpose. The Power Transformation Podcast.
Let's roll. Let's roll. Okay, I'm going to try to put this on screen really fast.
Thank you.
Yes, let's see if it works. Oh, let's see. Oh, yes, it worked. All right.
Thank you.
Any closing thoughts, lady, as we kind of wrap up here?
The only closing thought is live in your power. Live in your power. And that may seem so general. It's not meant to be a cliche, but especially with the fact that this platform speaks directly to women, we must learn to stop apologizing for everything. We must learn to not lower ourselves just to appease others, but really walk in your power in who you are, and to know that somebody needs you. You don't have to be worldwide famous if you don't want to. But my point is, think about who is someone that can pour into you, but also who can you pour back into? Because as long as you're breathing, there's still life to live, and you can live in a way that you could never imagine. I'm living my dreams,
Mm.
and the cost is taken. And even some of the challenges I still go through, okay, but now they roll off much easier. And I've learned how to just navigate them, and you can too. And I'm here to help.
Beautiful. Well, this
Thank
has
you,
been,
Sabrina.
yeah, thank
Mhm.
you. I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to hang out with us, give value to
Yeah.
Her Nation Global here. For those of you listening live that have stayed with us all the way to the very end here, thank you very much. We appreciate you. Make sure you follow, like, and share. If you resonated with Alethea and all the goodness that she shared, she predominantly hangs out on LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and a little bit on TikTok.
Mhm.
Her website, as she stated, is aletheafelton.com. And it is in a clickable link in the description wherever you are watching us at. So make sure you check that out. This brings us to an end of yet another incredible episode of Her Talk Show. Thank you, Alethea, for sharing your wisdom, for
Thank you.
inspiring us.
It's
Love that.
my pleasure.
Love
Mhm.
it. Once again, I am your host. My name is Sabrina Victoria, and I invite you to join our amazing community, Her Nation Global, where we continue to uplift each other every step of the way by having conversations just like this one. That is also in a clickable link in the description below. Would love for you to join us. As always, do something awesome today.